What's up YouTube? I'm Marissa Rojas. I am 1/3 of the FilAM Film Collective, and welcome to our very first behind the scenes vlog. So in addition to our scene recreations, which we will be uploading at the end of every month. Okay, so as I was editing this, I realized that I'm mispronouncing the word recreation. I'm saying recreation because English is stupid and this is the same word sounds different in different meanings and all that. Anyways, I mean recreation, though in my defense, recreation means having fun, and we did have fun filming these scenes. But I just want you to know, Marissa's not dumb, she was just using the wrong word. Recreation is what I meant, not recreation. Okay, bye, back to the vlog. We are also uploading vlogs from each of our perspectives about our creative process, how we're approaching each scene, what role we're playing in each scene. So I'm making the very first one. We shot our first recreation back in December of 2019, and I directed it. I chose a scene from the series The Good Place, which just happened to wrap up a week ago. The series finale aired a week ago from the time that I'm filming this. And just in case you haven't watched that series yet, which I highly recommend you do, it's so good. There are a little bit of spoilers in this episode and in our recreation. So if you haven't seen the series, and at least if you haven't seen season 1, I would click off, go watch season 1, and you come back and watch our videos. Anyways, back to the scene that I chose. I chose a scene where Jianyu, the monk, reveals that he is actually Jason Mendoza, a Filipino from Jacksonville, Florida. And the reason I chose this scene is obviously a main reason why we started this channel is to get more Filipino representation in media. So we're starting off with, already existing Filipino representation, and I think Manny Jacinto is a prime example of that today. Like, he is on one of the biggest sitcoms on TV, or at least that was on TV, and he is great, and he's Filipino, and that's awesome. And I just wanted to pay respect to him because I want to see more Filipinos on TV, on NBC, and all of those major networks, right? So again, back to the scene. He reveals his real identity. I think it's a really funny scene. I mean, he even says like, "I'm Filipino." I mean, I'm very on the nose with getting representation out here. When it comes to these scene recreations that we'll be doing, yes, we are essentially shooting them as they're written. We're not we're not changing the story or rewriting the script in any way. However, we do want to take creative liberties if we feel the need to. So in this particular scene, I chose to gender bend it. And if you don't know what that means, it basically means that you take the male characters and you make them female, and you take the female characters and you make them male. Or you can also make your characters gender fluid if you wanted to. It's gender bending, it's fluid, do what you want. So, in this scene, Manny Jacinto's character, Jianyu / Jason Mendoza, is played by my friend Trixi, and Eleanor, played by Kristen Bell, is played by my friend Edrian. And I just thought it was fun, because why not gender bend it a little bit? And also, honestly, I thought that each of them, knowing both Trixi and Edrian pretty well, I'm like, yeah, they could play this character. I think Edrian was a better fit for Eleanor, and Trixi was a better fit for Jianyu / Jason. And I think, honestly, it was more of Eleanor is kind of a sassy character, and Adrian's pretty sassy. And honestly, I just kind of wanted to see Trixi play a monk, because that seemed fun. I also want to talk a little bit about how I broke down the scene, or at least how I chose to shoot the scene, because again, we're shooting this with just essentially the 3 of us. Sometimes we'll have someone help out, but it's really just me. So I was both the director / DP on the project. As any good director would, you break down the scene, you decide what shots you want, and since it's a scene recreation, you already have the scene laid out for you in, its original form. But you have to take into consideration that this was shot by a real TV crew on a real TV set, so you're not going to have all the tools available. But if you are new at filmmaking or just shooting, in general. You may not know how to approach how to shoot a 2-person dialogue scene, and that's totally okay. It's something that you learn in beginning filmmaking 101. So let me just walk you through how I chose to shoot it. The scene is pretty long. It's like 3 minutes long, and there's a good amount of angles. Again, sitcoms of this sort. I guess this is not so much a sitcom where it's like it's shot on a stage and like, you know, with a live audience, but it is still sitcom-y in the way that you know, situational comedy things happen every episode that the characters have to navigate, but it is shot a little bit more like a movie, like a narrative, and I know that may not make sense to some people, but basically what I'm trying to say is that there's multiple cameras usually on bigger sets, that there's multiple cameras getting different angles at any which time. But in our case, we had just this one camera, so you can only shoot one angle at a time. So typically with a 2-person scene, you need 3 shots in order to cover the whole scene and make sure you have everything that you need to cut it together. And those 3 shots are basically a 2-shot. And if you're not familiar with that term, a 2-shot is a wide or a medium shot that includes both of the characters in it, as you can see here. The other 2 shots will be coverage of character A, and then the other shot you're gonna get is of character B. As long as you have those 3 shots, you should be able to cut together a scene. And of course, yes, the more you get in the hang of shooting dialogue scenes with multiple characters, the more fancy you can get, but you just want to make sure that you get coverage. And again, since we were really a skeleton crew, or if I was really just the only crew member, I just wanted to make it as simple as possible. And also with comedy, not that cinematography doesn't matter, but it's more about the jokes and the dialogue. Of course, yeah, you can make it look nice, but it's all about the words and the performance, like more often than not, unless you're doing physical comedy. But in this particular scene, it wasn't so much a physical comedy scene, it was more of a dialogue pacing based scene. So yeah, it's really just 3 different shots. I mean, obviously I got more than 3 shots, especially since the blocking in it is the characters move around. So blocking essentially means like the choreography of the scene. So, you know, it starts off with Eleanor walking up to find where Jason is in the courtyard, and they move around a bit. They just walk. It's nothing crazy. So you do have to move the camera and move with the characters, but even when you do move within the area that you're shooting, you're still getting that 2-shot coverage of character A, coverage of character B. And as long as you have those, you can cut it together. You cut back and forth, and that's it. I apologize if that was pretty fast. I'll probably rework that in the edit. And in terms of also shooting order, we did shoot it in chronological order, but we broke it up into chunks. Again, it's about like a 3-minute scene, so I didn't expect them to deliver the whole scene perfectly each time, 3 minutes through. I broke it up into sections, and also that just works better for camera because, again, the blocking in the scene, they one character walks up, they talk for a little bit, and then they walk towards this other place. And again, it's just easier if you break it up, and it's better for one camera, but also more importantly, actors' performance, so that they don't have to, run through a whole thing, how many different takes. They have a good chunk that they can focus on. And that's how I shot the scene. I will get better at explaining how to do it, and if you want it more in depth, then I can do more in depth, but for now, that's how I shot the scene. In the next episode, you will find Edrian's perspective. Again, he played Eleanor. He did a really good job, so did Trixi. I'm really happy with the performances they gave, and I just can't wait for you guys to see the final scene. Again, if you haven't watched The Good Place, I suggest you watch that first so that you can enjoy a little more. I think it's always just more exciting to see when you understand the references and understand, have seen the original. Until then, please like this video, please subscribe to this channel. You do not want to miss all the content that we're going to put out in these next coming weeks and months. On behalf of Edrian, Trixi, and I, Thank you for tuning in to the FilAM Film Collective. We will see you very soon.